All right, welcome OBS fans. This is Dan at the Outpost, cooking up another seat swap. Today we're going to be doing the Gen 4 swap along with the jump seat, the center console jump seat. So I know you guys have been waiting for this one. We're going to primarily be focusing on the jump seat and some of the differences. We will just do a quick run through of the Gen 4 bracket install as well. So let's get started. Let's dive in first to the jump seat consoles. Show you some of the differences here. We got, both of these are Gen 4. This one's got the 3 cup holder. This one's got the 2 cup holder. They both have got the compartments. However, these two consoles right here, you know, they look really similar and act the same. The mounting brackets are going to be different for them. So when ordering up the jump seat bracket, I'm going to need to get some measurements from you, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So looking at the bottom right here, I just kind of want to go over with what information I'm going to need to get from you in order to ensure we send you the correct mounting bracket. So the one with the lower compartment right here, although I've seen this one without the lower compartment as well, measure the same. It's roughly right about 13 1/4 and 13 1/2. Front to back, you're right at 15 inches. This one over here, this one also has a rear air duct to it too. It's something I noticed that's different. This model right here measures 13 and we'll call it 3/4 up front and 14 1/2 in the rear. It also measures 15 1/4 from center to center, front to rear. So you can see that these brackets are going to be different depending on which console you have. That's why it's important that I get the correct information from you. So if you're going to be ordering up one of these brackets, it's good to send me a picture of the bottom of what console you have. And if you can just take some rough measurements, we'll get it from there. So here's the console mounting bracket. We include the hardware you need. Pretty easy to install. You're just going to take the bracket, flip it upside down, set it in place. You're going to line up the holes and then basically just stick your bolts right through it. So we already pre-drilled the holes for the trans tunnel right here. We're going to need to mark these holes on the trans tunnel when we install. But before we do this, we need to get to the seats. We want to get the seats installed so that we can drop this console in place so that we know that we're spot on center. So let's go ahead and just do a quick rundown of the seat bracket installation and then go from there. All right, we got our Gen 4 seat here, Gen 4 brackets. It's a 2-piece design. This is the driver's right here. So the passenger side right here. I'm not going to go over the mods that you need to do. Actually, I could real quick. So there's going to be rivets here you're going to drill out. 4 mounting points we're going to be doing. Take a look at my other videos. I show more in depth on what rivets you need to drill out. What I do want to tell you, though, is these rivets are going to only be on power seats. So the one thing I failed to tell you guys about the ones that are running the manual seat is that you're not going to have this mounting hole up here from the factory. There's going to be nothing to drill out. So you're going to need you're going to need to drill a hole for these manual seats. The easiest way to be able to do that, to figure out where that hole needs to be at, well, your driver's seat, if it's power, you could just take a measurement off that, or what you're going to do is just take a caliper or something, and it looks like it's about, I don't know if you guys can read that or not, 0.625 is centered, or not centered from front to back, from the tip to where you need to drill out at, and then just dead nut center right here. So 5/8 down, dead nut center, drill a hole here and here. And this is again for the guys that don't have holes here, because you're going to need a front mounting point for these brackets. Okay, let's go ahead and start putting these things in the truck and showing you how they look. Before we can start on a console install, we want to get both seats installed first. So we want to start with installing our outer bracket. Now when I mail these to you guys, they're going to be marked which one is outside, inside, and there's going to be an arrow pointing forward, obviously towards the motor. You start by bolting the outside down with the factory 15mm bolts, and then you're going to take your inside rail, and this is for the single cabs. You're not going to have any holes here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to need to drill holes through the holes that I've already set up for you in the bracket. To do so, You're going to first mount this one, and then from this hole to this hole, you're going to measure over 16 inches. You're going to do the same for the back as well. You want to make sure this is all square so that when you do drill your holes right here and then mount this bracket, you want this whole structure to be 100% square. There's also another way to go about doing it. You can attach this bracket to the seat, mount this one to the floor, attach this one to the seat, then drop the seat in place, bolt this one down so that this one's just kind of floating, so to speak. It's not mounted. And then what you can do is you can go up underneath with a marker and scribe some lines and some index marks. That's how we're going to actually be mounting the console, so I'll show you more when we do the console on how to do that. But you could basically use the same method for figuring out where the seat bracket goes. So I got the seat mounted in place here. I haven't bolted down or made holes yet for the inner bracket. So we showed you the way you can measure it. We'll show you another little tip here. So what you can do is I cover the rail with blue painter's tape, and I put some painter's tape down on the floorboard as well. And I can come in here, and what I can do is I can scribe. I'm not going to really be able to do this on video. You can scribe a line, and then what you want to do is you want to make some crosshatch index marks going. I should just power the seat up so it gives me more room, but basically from top to bottom, just some index marks. And then what you do is you power the seat forward, and then do the same for the back side, and then remove the seat from the bracket, put the bracket back without the seat on it, and you'll be able to see where all those index marks line up, so you know you're right on target. So I went ahead and I mounted the bracket to the bottom of the console with the supplied hardware. You can see where it bolts in. And then I sat the console in place. But at this point, you should have both seats fully installed first. So you want to make sure you have your passenger side and driver's side brackets mounted and seats put in. Purpose of the video, I'm not going to be able to get access to this console where I want to show you, so I had to remove the passenger seat. So just imagine both seats are put in place. Then you're going to drop your console in between the two seats. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold your seat back. You want to make sure that the distance front to back is not so far back that you're not going to have any room for the lid to fully open up. So you want to give yourself, I don't know, maybe about a finger's width or so, just to give yourself a little bit of clearance. And then once you know that you're fully centered and you're happy with where this thing is sitting, you're going to come down here up front. And what I did was I took some painter's tape and I put painter's tape on the floorboard, okay? And then I put painter's tape on the actual front of the bracket. And then what I can do is with a marker, I can go in here and draw some indexing lines, okay? One, I go straight across, and then I'm going to do a couple lines like that. So I removed the bracket from the jump seat and I just set it back in here. You can see the painter's tape with the index marks. Same thing with the index marks right here. You're just going to line that straight up, find out where all those index marks hit, and then you're going to just mark some holes for your holes to blast through the trans tunnel. Get some bolts on there. Same thing though with the inside bracket. Anytime you're going to be drilling holes into this trans tunnel or the floorboards, you want to make sure you got some big heavy duty fender washers underneath. So it might be a two-person job sometimes when you're laying underneath there. But I just want to make sure when you install these things you do it safe. So this is a really easy way. Obviously, if when the console or jump seats mounted to this bracket, if you can get your hand up underneath here with a small pen and then just mark these two front holes, probably like a shortened pencil or something would do the same. There's enough room there to do that. That's obviously one way. This is another way to do it. The idea is just so that this jump seat gets centered as best as possible. Right, now that the bracket, the jump seat bracket is mounted, I went ahead and put the jump seat on the bracket and then mounted all 4 sides. You will have to, once again, for one last time, remove both driver's and passenger seats to get access to these bolts right here. But once that's done, then you just reinstall your seats and then the project is 100% complete. You got any questions about doing this install or buying brackets? Dan at obsoutpost.com. I'll put my contact information in the description down below. And if you have any other types of seats that you're looking to swap into OBSs, that's what we specialize in.